Welcome to 4 Oak Street. In this episode we have a look at a new loco that I bought, and we also have a look at the control panel which I've built using and designed using Excel, and where that's at, plus also what I've also caught up with on the rest of the layout. So without further ado, let's have a look at the new loco. And this is a Class 52 Western. And it's running beautifully. This is a dapole that was on special at Rails at Sheffield. I spoke with Mark at Piddle in the Marsh, and he suggested they were a lovely loco. But you can see, I'll just turn the speed down. This is fitted with one of the dapole Next 18 decoders, and touch wood, so far it's been great. So this is at speed set 2, and you can see it's that's speed set 1, so when they say super creep, it's super creep, alright. I've also just ballasted this section that it's now onto. And completed this bridge. So I've finished the bridge, finished the weathering, finished the internal track inserts. Here's the Class 14. running beautifully. So yes, I've completed the ballasting. Hasn't been weathered. It's just been put in place, and then it will need to be weathered properly. In terms of the bridge, I've added these sections in the middle of the rail and weathered the rails, as well as now actually glued these the bridge sides in place, and the whole thing is really solid. So I'm really quite pleased how that's come out. It's meant to have been quite... Will I paint it a lighter colour? Not sure, but I could do. So I've also been doing a fair bit of running. So all the locos have been getting a run. I've probably run the layout more than I have for a while. But the next thing is the panel. At the moment we just have these here where I touch a battery and the points will change. A big chunk of these points will actually be in pairs, so the crossovers and the passing loops and whatever will be wired to one switch. So let's have a look at the other panel. So on this panel we've not only got the points and the route indicators, we've also in the bottom left there got the main power switch. This one's got the turntable, and it's also got the lights which come off the PSX ARs and PSX, the things that are looking for short circuits. So what happens is that's showing track power in the four districts, if you like, and if one of those bleeps, it'll go red and it will tell me which one it is. So that's the visual. I've also got the buzzer that will tell me which district's got the issue, where the locos come off, for example. So what I wanted to do was, could I improve on this panel? So the first thing is, let's actually have a look at how I actually designed the panel. So, just like the other panel, I happen to be reasonably good using Excel for spreadsheets, and I thought, well, maybe I can do something in Excel. So consequently what we have here is the layout of the tracks for the new section. So this is the station area here. This has got the passing loops and the crossover. I've also got the direction of travel. Then this is the junction where we've got the two tracks going lower. So that's how I've decided to split this up, and then we've actually got the TMD here. So using Excel, you basically just make sure that the lines that you're using for the rail are all the same width, which you can do by clicking on the side. You can size them, and then these sections here, the corners, these are just shapes that you just go to insert a shape. You then can move them around until you finally get it right. And then what I do is I then you can change the spreadsheet and use the fill being black, and then you can add in text and whatever. So that's what I actually gave to the company that's a printer that printed it, and I also gave him the size and dimensions. I'll show you what he then produced. So here we actually have the I got two of these. And the reason I got two of these was because I was pretty confident when I started drilling that I'd make a mess of it. So these are the two here. I hope that's readable. So these are put onto something that a lot of sign writers use, which is this board. It's like a metal which has got like a plastic or rubberish infill. It's 3 millimeters in width, just like the one that I used before. So once I'd got this, then you just have to then work out where you're going to put the switches and where you're going to put the LED lights. So I've been using the DCC Concepts switches, which are pre-wired at the back. So if you use a double pole, double throw switch, because obviously you want one way to be one route, and then you turn it the other way and it would be the other route. So the next thing was determining where the switches would go, and then on drilling I was advised to make sure that you use a drill that's not too sharp so it doesn't grab, and I'll explain why that's important in a second. So once I'd worked that out and I started ruling, using a ruler across to get all the holes in line where I wanted them in line and where I wanted them in the middle, for example, trying to make it look a bit more symmetrical. So then what you have to buy, if you've got your own switches, you then have to buy these little bezels which come with a plastic insert for the LED. Now, I was lucky enough that I worked out, because I wanted to improve on the other panel and actually put some perspex in front of it. So I was initially after a 1.5mm perspex, but I could only get 2mm. So I got a 2mm piece of perspex cut to this exact size, and I'd already pre-drilled all the holes in this for the LEDs and for the switches, and then I taped the perspex to this and then drilled through the back into the perspex, and I had a big thick sheet of cork so I could really make sure that there was no gap between this and the perspex, which might cause the perspex to grab. But just going back to the switches, the LEDs and the bezels, my advice is work out what you need and buy them from exactly the same place so you get the same. What I've found is that the bezels I've got from different places, and they do fractionally differ. Some are more chrome than others, and others are fractionally longer. So in the end, what I ended up with was 30 of one sort and 60 of another, and I actually needed around 100. So I had to go back and get more, and then some came without the little plastic insert. So this is the plastic insert that goes in, and it's a little tiny plastic insert, and the LED goes through the two holes and it stops it from touching the bezel and potentially causing a short. The next thing I learnt from the last panel is buy all your LEDs from one place, because they do vary in brightness, and what I ended up having to do with the last one was set up like a little test thing where I could test the LEDs to make sure they were all the same colour green. I've no doubt you could actually use resistors, but anyway, buy them all from one spot. So here's a bag of 100 LEDs. I picked these up for about $8 or $9 in Australia, and the bezels, you can pick those up very reasonable. So in Blue Peter style, let me show you what it looks like now. So here we are. This has now got all the switches put in. This has now got the bezels, and now what I've got to do is I've got to start wiring. I've also had to work out where I was going to put the red LED indicators for power and also for lights, because I'm going to have lighting. So I looked at different ways of putting this together, and don't know if that's upside down, and various things I could have at the bottom, and I've used actually a dry transfer on those. So you can see here I've got power, lights, and then I've got all the red LEDs and the 4 different areas. So we've got inner, outer, country, TMD and station. So those are the 4 districts. And that's now got the perspex on, and there was just enough room to be able to get a nut on the back and use a socket like this just to be able to hand tighten them. So that's the next thing now that I'll be doing. So from the back of these switches, once the LEDs are put in, there will be a wire. So there'll be a power switch here, there'll be a piece of N-gauge rail here, which will be like to solder the various wires for the switches to. That's like a bus. So I'll just put a piece of track, and then there will be the power coming into the switch, the power going out to the point, and at the same time that will also go to the LEDs. So there'll be, for instance, on the passing loops, 1 row and then a 2nd row, depending on which way you hit the switch. So what I will then do is build a frame like I've built for the other one, and then all the wires will go to different connectors. So then the point wires which are already in will just be connected to the back of the panel holder. So that's pretty much what it looks like. Just showing you at a different version. It actually looks really quite good, and it wasn't expensive. It cost me about $200 to have 2 of them printed. Cost me about 20, and bear in mind it's about, call it 2 to 1. So the perspex was about 15 quid. So yeah, so now I just have to do all the wiring. So pretty much that's what I've been working on over the last couple of months. So now I'm just waiting to be in the right mood to start putting this together. So with that, thanks everybody for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks a lot.